If Straven was no longer the king's heir, somebody else was, and if there were anything these humans wanted from us, they wouldn't have sent you alone. It's a joke, a hoax. Aliens will be here by the thousand. But it but it doesn't take 1,000 men to open a door, my lord. It might to keep it open. The equipment will wait till you open it, sir. It will force nothing on you. I was sent alone and remain here alone in order to make it impossible for you to fear me. Fear you, said the king, turning his shadow-scarred face, grinning, speaking loud and high. But I do fear you, envoy. I fear those who send you. I fear liars, and I fear tricksters, and worse, I fear the bitter truth. And so I rule in my, and so I rule my country well, because only fear rules men. Because only fear rules men. Nothing else works, nothing else lasts long enough. You are what you say you are, yet you are a joke, a hoax. There is nothing in between the stars but void and terror and darkness, and you come out of all that alone trying to frighten me? But I am already afraid, and I am the king. Fear is the king. Okay. Fear is the king. Now take your traps and tricks and go. There is no more need saying. I have ordered that you be given the freedom of Karhide. So I departed from the royal presence, ik, all down the long red floor in the red gloom of the hall, until at last the double doors shut me off from him. I had failed all around. What worried me as I left the king's house and walked through the palace grounds, however, was not my failure, but Straven's part in it. Why had the king exiled him for advocating the ecumenic cause, which seemed, which seemed to be the meaning of the proclamation, if, according to the king himself, he had been doing the opposite? When had he started advising the king to steal clear of me, and why? Why was he exiled and I let go free? Which of them had lied more, and what the devil, devil, were they lying for? Striving to save his skin, I decided, and the king to save his face. The explanation was neat, but had Straven, in fact, ever lied to me? I discovered that I did not know. I was passing the cornered red dwelling. The gates of the garden stood open. I glanced in at the syren trees leaning wide above the dark pool, the paths of pink brick lying deserted in the serene grey light of the afternoon. A little snow still lay in the shadow of the rocks by the pool. I thought of Straven waiting for me there as the snow fell last night, and felt a pang of pure pity for the man whom I had seen in yesterday's parade, swearing and superb under the weight of his panoply and power. A man at the prime of his career, potent and magnificent, gone now, down, done, running for the border with his death 3 days behind him, and no man speaking to him. The death sentence is rare in Carhide. Life on winter is hard to live, and people, wait a second, and the people. Life in winter is hard to live, and people there generally, general, generally, generally, general, generally, general, generally live there to nature or to anger, not to law. I wonder how Straven, with that sentence driving him, would go. Not in car, for they were all palace property here. Would a ship or a boat give him passage? Or was he afoot on the road carrying what he could carry with him? Carhides go afoot mostly. They have no beasts of burden, no flying vehicle. The weather makes slow going for powered traffic most of the year, and they are not a people who hurry. I imagine the proud man going into exile step by step, a small trudging figure of the long road west to the Gulf. All this went through my mind and out of it as I passed the gate of the corner red dwelling, and with it went my confused speculations concerning the acts and motives of Straven and the king. I was done with them. I had failed. What's next? What next? I should go to Orgorein. I should go to Orgorein, Carhide's neighbor and rival, but once I went there I might find it hard to return to Carhide, and I had unfinished business here. I had to keep in mind that my entire life could be and might well be used in achieving my mission for the ecumen. No hurry, no need to rush off to Orgoren before I had learned more about Carhide, particularly, particularly, particular. Okay, vamos a estar bien. Particularly, 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 particularly.
Particularly.
What?
Particularly.
Particularly,
Particularly.
particularly,
Particularly.
particularly,
Particularly.
particularly,
Particularly.
particularly. Particularly about the fastness. For 2 years I had been answering questions, and now I will ask some, but not in Shenrang. I had finally understood that Stravent had been warning me. I thought I might distrust his warning. I could not disregard it. Disregard it. He had been saying, however indirectly, that I should get away from the city and the court. For some reason I thought of Lord Tibet's teeth. The king had given me the freedom of the country. I would avail myself of it. As they say in ecumenical school, when actions grows unprofitable, unprofitable, unpro, este computador. unprofitable, unprofitable, unprofitable,
unprofitable,
unprofitable,
unprofitable,
unprofitable. Gather information. When information grows unprofitable, sleep. I was not sleepy yet. I will go east to the fastnesses, 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 and gather information from the foretellers, perhaps. 4. The 19th day. An East An Iskar-Haydish story, as told in Gorin Herin Heart Tobort Korhawa, and recorded by G.A. 93 14 94 92. Lord Berowski Ren came to Tarherin fastness and offered 40 barrels and half the year's yield from his orchards as the price of a foretelling, and the price was acceptable, acceptable, accept, acceptable,
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 acceptable, acceptable. He said his question to the weaver Odren, and the question was, on what day shall I die? The foretellers gathered and went together into the darkness. At the end of the darkness, Odren spoke the answer. You will die on Odstret, the 19th day of any month. In what month? In how many years? Cried Berowski, but the bond was broken, and there was no answer. He ran into the circle,
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 circle. He ran into the circle and took the weaver Aldrin by the throat, shocking him, and shouted that if he got no further answer he would break the weaver's neck. Others pulled him off and held him. Though he was a strong man, he strained against their hands and cried out, "Give me the answer." Others said, "It is given and the price paid. Go." Raging then, Berowski Rem Ip returned to Charut, the third domain of his family, a poor place in northern Osnoriner, which he had made poorer in getting together the price of a foretelling. He shut himself up in the strong place, in the highest rooms of the Heart Tower, and would not come out for friend or foe, for seed time or harvest, for Kerrimer or foray. All that month and the next and the next, and 6 months went by, and 10 months went by, and he still kept like a prisoner to his room, waiting. On Nenterhat and outstretched the 18th and 19th days of the month. He would not eat any food, nor would he drink, nor would he sleep. His Kemerin by love and bow was Herbor of the Geganer clan. This Herbert came in the month of the granted of two tangerine fastness and said to the weaver, I seek a foretelling. What have you paid? Oddren asked, for he saw that the man was poorly dressed and badly shod, and his sledge was old, and everything about him wanted mending. I will give my life, said Herbert. Have you nothing else, my lord? Oddren asked him, speaking now as to a great nobleman. Nothing else to give? I have nothing else, said Herbert, but I do not know if my life is of any value to you here. No, said Audrey, it is of no value to us. Then Herbert fell on his knees, struck down by the shame and love, and cried to Audrey, I beg you to answer my question. It is not for myself. For whom then? Asked the weaver. For my lord and Kemerin Ashberosti, said the man, and he wept. He has no love, nor joy, nor lordship, since he came here and got that answer which was no answer. He will die of it. That he will. What does a man die of but his death? Said the weaver Odin, but Berber's passion moved him, and at length he said, I will seek the answer of the question you ask, Herbo, and I will not ask no price. But between you there is always a price. The asker pays what he has to pay. Then Herbert set other hands against his own eyes in sign of gratitude, and so the foretelling went forward. The foretellers gathered and went into the darkness. Herbert went among them and asked his question. And the question was, how long will Ashet Petrovsky Rem Ir Ipe live? For Herbert thought thus to get the count of days or years, and so set his love heart at rest, which with certain with certain knowledge. Then the foretellers moved in the darkness, and at last Odren cried in great pain, as if he burned in a fire. Longer than Herbert of Geganer. Odren, Odren, Odren cried in great pain. It was not the answer Herbert had hoped, but it was the answer he got, and having a patient heart, he went home to Charut with it. Through the snows of Grende, he came into the domain and into the strong place and climbed the tower, and there found his Kemerin Berosti sitting as ever blank and bleak by an ash-smothered fire, his arms lying on a table of red stone, his head sunk between his shoulders. Ash, said Herbert, I had given to Tangerine fastness. I had been to Tangerine fastness, and had been answered by the foretellers. I asked them how long you would live, and their answer was, Petrovsky will live longer than Herbert. Petrovsky looked up at him as slow as if the hinge in his neck had rusted, and said, Did you ask then when I would die then? I asked how long you would live. How long, you fool? You had a question of the foretellers and did not ask them when I am to die, what day, month, year, how many days are left to me. You asked how long? Oh, you fool, you staring fool, longer than you, yes, longer than you. Perovsky took up the great table of redstone as if it had been a sheet of tin and broke it down on Herbert's head. Herbert fell and the stone lay on him. Berowski stood a while demented. Then he raised up the stone and saw that it had crushed Herbert's skull. He set the stone back on its pedestal. He lay down beside the dead man and put his arms about him, as if they were in Kemer and all was well. So the people of Charut found them when they broke into the tower room at last. Berowski was mad thereafter and had to be kept under lock, for he would always go looking for Herbert, who he thought was somewhere about the domain. He lived a month thus, and then hanged himself on Northreach, the 19th day of the month of Term.